during the break, Joe, you brought up something very interesting when it comes to Kyle Shanahan that may lend itself to some live betting opportunities.
Well, yeah, we was joking about how if the Packers find themselves up late in the game, like you just gotta take it all and pour it on the Packers, right? Because under Shanahan, when the Niners are trailing by 8 or more in the fourth quarter, might surprise some, their record is 0-39. Like, I'm sure it's a bad record for a lot of teams, a lot of coaches in that scenario, down 8 or more in the fourth quarter. But once in a while, you have some sort of a comeback, right? And 8 is still a one-score game. But no, not the case. Has never come back as a Niner head coach.
Like, what's Andy Reid's record? You know, I'd be curious to know what his is. Gosh, so
against the Bills, good.
Shanahan, yeah. Does Shanahan just like lose it? Can't figure out how to cook something up because mentally he's just panicking that they're down? I don't know what to make of this.
Okay, here's a theory that I have, and I'd love to know what you guys think. I think when it comes to the beginning of a game, the scripted plays, I think that's more on the head coach. It's all about preparation, all about the matchups, all of that stuff. But I think as the game progresses, now, like at halftime, yes, you can make adjustments and that's cool. But I think when it comes to like the fourth quarter and crunch time, I think that's more on the quarterback than it is, say, the head coach. Like, yes, you can call different plays, all your wrinkles, all that stuff. But at some point, the quarterback has to get a little heroic. And I do wonder if that record is more a reflection of the lack of heroicism of 49ers quarterbacks. Because, I mean, that's been the knock against this 49ers offense for a long time under Kyle Shanahan, right? Like, Jimmy G, like, can he do it outside of this system? Can all these other backups do it outside of that system? What is Brock Purdy? Is he a good quarterback or is he in a really, really gifted situation? Like, that's the thing that we've been debating all season long. And I wonder in the fourth quarter if you need a quarterback who can just come through and lift everybody. And the 49ers have never really had that. And it's an example as such with this record.
Jumping in front, more on coaches, late game comebacks, more on players.
I mean, it's not like 100-0. It's not black and white, but
no, I know.
I lean in that direction.
Yeah. No, that actually makes sense to me. Like even last week, I was looking at him like Casey got out to that lead. I'm like, yep, there's Reid on the script. Like that makes sense. With the good coaches, we're used to that. Like we see that early on with the quality quarterbacks, usually the head coach / play callers. Like we even saw with McVay. Like, okay, boom, we're going to answer on the script early on. So, the Lions, they had a great first half, but then they did nothing in the second half. So I want to see how they respond this week, if they can put that full game together.
And who do we trust with the Lions? It's Ben Johnson. It's Dan Campbell. Not so much Jared Goff.
You can't hurt me if I don't bet it. You can't hurt me anymore. I have no idea where the Ravens are going with the run game. Okay. So I'm done playing that game of whack-a-mole. Like I don't know. When it looks like it's going to be a game for this guy, it isn't. Oh, this is a Gus Bus game. It isn't. Like they find ways to surprise you. So I'm not playing that game of Ravens running backs, which one it's going to be anymore. I don't care. Matchup wise, and the matchup isn't even that good, even though the Ravens can pretty much run on anybody. Like, the Texans have been great against the run. Now, injury report. I don't know if this is a thing, how real this is, but it got my attention. 3 of the 4 starters on the Texans defensive line did not practice yesterday. Right. So I'm like, but most of them practiced on the day before, on Tuesday. So what was yesterday about rest? Was it about, is this legit? Are they just giving them all a day off together? What's going on here? Because as Erin mentioned, they've played well against the run over the last couple months for sure. One of the best in the league. And now 3 of their starters now practicing. That's concerning. And we have seen Will Anderson miss some time over the last couple months.
I think Will Anderson will be fine. I'm wondering if it's just about rest and maybe not look too far into it, but it is a concern. I was also wondering when you mention, rest, you look at the Ravens. They haven't played in almost 3 weeks or so. It's been a while. Could
Mhm.
they come out slow? Could a first half under be in play here? Because that total is about the same as the last game. There's a 22 and a half, there's a 20 and a half, there's 21 and a halfs out there. It's kind of all over the place. But I was wondering if maybe we get a little bit of a slower start, or is all this rest great for the Ravens and they just come out guns blazing? But I would tend to think maybe a little bit of a slower start in cold Baltimore.
What do you like here?
Man, I just think Jordan Love and company keep this moving. I understand it's maybe too early to crown the guy as the next Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. He's only started, 20 games at this point or whatever. But my God, guys, second half of the season, like pick a stat, any stat. I know PFF grades are getting J.J. Watt and everyone freaked out recently. But EPA, CPOE, traditional passer rating, like you are seeing Jordan Love as a top 5 quarterback over the last 2 months of action. So as we saw against the Cowboys, the arm talent just to really stress every square inch of the field, but also that underrated mobility. I mean, only Kyler Murray has actually averaged more yards per scramble than Jordan Love this season. So I do wonder, how much he is going to be able to run away from Nick Bosa and Fred Warner and some of those guys out there. But I do think what we've seen from this Packers offense is finally that perfect marriage of Love being able to create off script, and then Matt LaFleur doing what he's been doing for years, which is kill defenses with his scheme. So looking at this one, again, it took me like a half hour to try to find any weakness in this 49ers defense. But the one thing I found is they go from like a top 5 pass D to much more of an average unit when the quarterbacks get the ball out in under 2.5 seconds. Makes sense. What's the easiest way to not have Nick Bosa kill your quarterback? Yeah, probably get the ball out of their hands quickly. And if you look at it, not even looking at the second half of the year, the entire season, only Tua Tagovailoa and Jared Goff are more efficient than Jordan Love getting the ball out of their hands that quickly. So not so sure the Packers can pull the full upset here, but I do think, 9-10 points, whatever the line is resting at now, a bit too high. I will be backing the underdog Packers against the spread.
And not only does he get the ball out quickly, but he hardly throws interceptions too. You would think if he was making quick decisions like that, you would see some more interceptions, and we don't. Any other, prop or matchup that we didn't talk about that you like this weekend?
Yeah, just with this game, I would say Brandon Ayuk is someone that I think we could look at that 87.5, alternate line plus 210 odds, not too shabby, because as much as the Packers did do a good job, slowing down Dak Prescott and company. I mean, we zoom out a little bit, it was over 500 total yards and they wound up getting the 32 points. I know a lot of garbage time going into that, but hey, with Ayuk this season, I mean, he just put up the most receiving yards ever from a receiver with fewer than 110 targets. So the efficiency is truly out of this world. And when we look at a Packers defense that's been running cover 3 at a top 5 rate all season long, Ayuk typically has been their guy to just go ahead and put their outside cornerbacks in an absolute blender for an extended period of time. So we'll see how Jair Alexander's ankle ends up healing if he's able to be out there for Sunday. But even the league's best cornerbacks haven't been able to slow down Ayuk much this year. So I know it's scary with these 49ers players because they have so many weapons all over the field. It could just be a matter of them not overly needing him. But I think, again, based on this specific matchup, Ayuk is going to be the guy we want in the passing game this week.